Now, back to the KDLM Sports Wrap, live from Bears Sports Bar in Waubun for the Minnesota Vikings Town Takeover.
Broadcasting live here on KDLM, also broadcasting live on Facebook Live. Zeke, Charlie, and Elliot here broadcasting live. We're now talking with another member of the Minnesota Vikings. Kind enough to join us. We have offensive lineman Rashad Hill joining us here this morning. Good morning, Rashad.
Good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. You guys made it up.
Yeah, we did. We made it up here.
Yeah, no problems on the roads?
No. We had an excellent driver.
Man, you're from Jacksonville, Florida. So this is, have you gotten used to the weather yet? I mean, you're in your, third year with the Vikings?
Yes, I'm actually, going on my fourth year, actually.
Okay.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Me and my wife used to it, though. The road driving a little bit, that's still something to get used to.
I've lived here almost 30 years, and I don't know if I can get used to it. The cold. April, right? Yeah, it's just like, come on, we're ready for spring. So give us an idea of what's coming up here for you guys. You guys have Vikings mini camp coming up here soon, right?
Yes, we have Vikings mini camp coming up. We just get back in there on Monday, getting back with the guys, new coaches, just getting back, everybody getting back with each other. I'm actually excited, man, to get back and get ready for this season, man, and get to see your brothers that you put so much time and work in with, and just ready to, get to work. I'm excited about the new offense I keep hearing about, that we got coming in, that these guys that these new coaches are gonna bring in that really gonna change this program around. So I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah. Do you do anything in the off season? Just to get some R&R? Do you go anywhere?
I went to I go to let me see where I went. Me and my wife went to Hawaii.
Okay.
Went to Hawaii and true story though. Went to Hawaii and I didn't know a thing about the little pipe things about if you don't leave your pipe running in Minnesota.
Sure.
Freeze up. So I get a call that asked my pipe busting in my house, so I had to deal with that for a little bit this off season. But other than that though, it's been awesome, man. Just getting away a little bit, catching up with family, spending time with my little girls. And, man, just relaxing a little bit, then get back to work.
Would it have been better if they would have waited, after you get back from vacation and say, hey, your pipes froze? Or do you break that news, when you're on vacation in Hawaii?
It's actually, me and my wife was on a vacation in Hawaii for Valentine's Day. And when I got the call, I'm like, I don't want to tell my wife that on Valentine's Day.
You just didn't break the news.
I broke it after that. I'm like, look, I got to tell you this right here. But everything been smooth with it, though. So, yeah.
All right. We started talking a little bit about, this new system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So new system, and we like the new system.
Oh, yeah.
So,
most definitely.
What's the biggest change with the new offensive system here?
To be honest with you, though, I just heard that we want to run the ball more and make it more balanced, go back to our ways like we used to do it. I really can't tell you, how the new system goes because we haven't installed it yet.
Okay.
But I just heard great things from former players that played under him. I was down there training in Dallas this year, and just guys just knows the coach staff this year, and they said, they're great guys, man. They're going to really change their program around and get y'all winning again.
Talking with Rashad Hill, offensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings here in Waubun at Bears Sports Bar and Grill. Vikings Town Takeover. And as an offensive lineman, you get told that we're going to run the ball more. I mean, that's got to make you happy, right?
Oh, yeah.
You love to run block more than pass block, correct?
Yeah, but, you got to have balance. And that's your job to have balance. But, of course, we like to run the more. That's just a lot more easier anyways. But still, though, you got to have balance in the NFL, and we understand that it's offensive line. But, yeah, we love to run it. We love to shove it down somebody's throat because it just make the offensive line feel, we feel great anyways to pass. But when you run the ball and that you see the smiles on Dalvin Cook and the rest of the Kurt and everybody else's face that knowing that we all came together and achieved that, man, it's awesome.
What's it like to block for Dalvin Cook? Because he's got that speed, right?
Oh, yeah, he got that speed, so he don't need nothing but a little inch, and he's finna just go crazy with it. And it's good to have him, man, on our team. I'm actually glad to have him because he's a fun guy. He's explosive, and he's always about working. So when he get the ball, we know, like, give him a little inch, and he gonna do the rest. So I'm just excited to get back to work with him this year, and he's fully healthy like he was last year. Oh, man, he's gonna be something special this year.
And that's the thing. Like, if he can stay healthy, man, he's an explosive running back.
Yes, sir, he is. And I feel like he gonna do that this year. He gonna be healthy. We gonna have awesome running backs.
How about Kirk Cousins too?
Oh man, I love Kirk, man. He's a good guy. Kurt's second year, so I know he's familiar with the program and the system. Kurt's a fun guy to be around. He always bring you along. A lot of people don't know that Kurt's funny too, man. He's a little sarcastic, but we love him though, man. And I can't wait to work with him this year, man, and get back to work with him, and having that full year on the belt and knowing Kurt, and we know what to expect, and we got Kurt with us, and just ready to get back to work, man.
I heard something where he'll write down, like, every 5 minutes, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do in 5 minutes. Is he like that? Is he almost like a perfectionist, too, off the field?
I personally, I don't know about Kurt personal business, but for me, just observing through the Vikings and we be up there at work, he's the type of guy like that, and like little small details, he try to correct them, and he try to correct them even on the field. If you got a problem or anything, he's not the type of guy that you can't go up there and ask. Some people you can't ask, but Kurt is the type of guy, if you need help with something, he gonna try to get the problem. Try to fix the issue or give you the answer.
Got one of your teammates, Stephen Weatherly, here. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman in practice. You guys ever compete against one another in practice?
That's what you come there to compete. Steve.
Who wins the match?
He's a funny guy too. But it's gonna be fun this year though. We compete each other all the time, and that's how we get better though. With that defensive line week out, and them guys are there. I'm glad to have them on our team because they're gonna fight. They're gonna give you, they coming at you everything they got every play. So that's make you better. You don't want no guys who's gonna be like, let me take this play off, and you can't do that. You got to have guys coming at you every play and we just iron sharpen iron. So it's great battling with them guys, man. It make me a better player, but I feel like we try to dump Steve on his head. It's possible because we try to dump him every time we can on Steve.
So a little friendly rivalry, offensively, defensively.
We have friendly rivals, and we love, that's like I said, that's just make us better, man. And that's all we do is like, okay, why the reason that I beat you on this? We learn from each other. Okay, if he give me this, he give me that. Okay, we feed off each other, and I believe that's how you become a great team. We all put it together, and I'm excited about this year though.
Vikings training camp now in Eagan, new headquarters. Man, that's a beautiful facility.
Oh man, it is.
What's it like to play with a facility like that?
Oh man, at first though, it was something to get used to. When we first got there, cause we was in the bunker over there, Eden Prairie, and actually in Mankato, we went down there, and to get over there, man, they did a awesome job on that place over there, like nutrition. Everything you possibly need, we got pools, we got everything, we got anything that we need in there, and like that's why I'm just so thankful. And every organization ain't like this, and this organization really took the time out and the money to give the players everything they need. So we love it over there, man, and just to have everything. We got 4 fields? 4 fields? Yeah,
it's quite
crazy.
Complex.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm like, it's like a high school field over there.
Well, and then U.S. Bank Stadium. So you go play games at U.S. Bank Stadium. That's a beautiful facility as well.
It is. Yeah,
Where's your favorite place other than obviously at home, U.S. Bank Stadium? Where do you like to play at the most? Right? Like, what's your other favorite stadium?
I'm trying to think right now.
Do we like Lambeau?
That's what I'm going to tell you, Lambeau.
Yeah.
When you go down there and get a chance to beat the Packers, that's the greatest feeling in the world because, they've always been going, before I was born, the rivalry been going on long as I can remember, and just to go out there and get a win is a great feeling.
Yeah.
Because that's our rivals, and we all know that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, too. The town of Green Bay. Like, it's not that big of a town, but it has this big, huge NFL stadium in it.
Oh, yeah. That's what's crazy about it, because my family always asked about it, and I was like, yeah, it's a small town, but it got a big NFL stadium there. Yeah. And people don't believe until, like, they actually see it, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, he was.
We're here in Waubun. You look at this Mahnomen-Waubun Thunderbird team. I mean, they won the state championship. You've had success in your football career.
Yeah, I had success, and like I was telling these young men, I was telling them that I wish that we can. I wish that I was in high school, won state championship, and not just that, to only blow people out and go undefeated. Oh man, that's awesome, man.
What do you tell them to stay hungry? How do they keep getting better? What's your advice for that? Never be satisfied?
Yeah, never get comfortable, because okay, just you went 13-0 this year. Next year, it can be something different. So I always stay with a hungry mindset and try to get better each thing and each play, each week, and pay attention to the small details what the coach gives you. And most important, get your diploma.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the main thing.
Gotta have education.
Yes, sir, you do. Education is the main thing. My mom always told me that you can play football, but you make sure you get the education. So I got my degree in criminal justice, and I always got something to fall back on.
LSU, how are we going to do next year, right?
You said LSU.
What's that?
You say
LSU?
No, I went to Southern Miss.
Southern Miss, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. You talking about Daniel probably?
Yeah,
Daniel.
So Southern Miss, how are we going to do next year?
We're gonna be great next year. I feel like the coach is turning around. They got new coaches there. I mean, new strength staff there. I feel like Southern Miss gonna turn around and get back right.
No prediction on LSU.
No prediction. That ain't me. I know about LSU.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, my friend, and enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's Rashad Hill joining us here on KDLM as we continue our coverage here from the 2019 Minnesota Vikings Town Takeover. We're here at Bears Sports Bar and Grill in Waubun, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Now, back to the KDLM Sports Wrap, live from Bears Sports Bar in Waubun for the Minnesota Vikings Town Takeover.
Welcome back, broadcasting live, Bears Sports Bar and Grill in Waubun. It's the Vikings Town Takeover. We're celebrating Mahnomen Waubun Thunderbirds, and lots of events lined up, not only today but also tomorrow, Zeke. So we got the silent auction going on, breakfast just wrapping up, so opportunities for the public to come in and take part in the silent auction and breakfast as well here at Bears Sports Bar.
A lot of great stuff over there. You're talking the Weber Grill earlier. We've got a lot of autographs from Everson Griffin, Adam Thielen. I think there's the Harrison Smith autograph jersey over there as well. A lot of Thunderbird apparel as well, championship apparel, memorabilia, things like that. So a great opportunity to get your hands on some history with that silent auction.
Another cool thing, too, is we're talking with some of the Minnesota Vikings players, and we have defensive lineman Stephen Weatherly joining us here. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So you made it up here, obviously, okay?
Yeah.
It was a little dicey?
A little bit. Not as bad as I would have thought, especially with all the weather problems that I had trying to get back here from New York City. But it was actually a pretty smooth drive, thanks to Mike. It's our driver over there, chilling in the suit and tie.
Fearless.
Yeah.
All right. So it's off season. Mm-hmm. Anything special this off season that you've been doing to get ready for this season?
Honestly, at this point, it was just about getting my body in the best shape possible to do whatever the coaches need me to do. The last couple off seasons, it was about just trying to make the team, right? My first year coming in, just trying to find a spot, trying to find a place, special teams, and it's always been do enough to get it, like just get in. And then at this point now, it's about excelling and doing those things and investing into myself. And so changed my diet completely, put a big emphasis on stretching, and more than anything, getting my mental just as advanced as my physical, because the game last year honestly slowed down for me, and I really want that to keep going moving forward.
Yeah, and is that just a matter of experience? Is that why it slowed down?
Exactly.
Comfortable? Exactly.
Because when you first come in, especially as a defensive lineman, you're in the trenches. Everything's happening at a fraction of a second. So I remember like it was yesterday, my first preseason game, I put my hand down on the ground, and the ball was snapped, and on film, it looked like I was moving in quicksand. But then this past year, I kind of felt that feeling in person. But when you turn on the film, I was the first person moving off the ball. And so that was only because I had those valuable snaps in the practice and then those reps in the game. And then everything just got easier and kind of slowed down for me. And I was able to analyze and process things a lot quicker. So it's really important to get the mind part down early.
And remind us, how long have you been in the NFL now?
I'm going into my fourth year.
Fourth year in the NFL. Out of Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah, out of Vanderbilt University. I like to call us the Marines of the football league. We're few and far between, but we're out here. We're making a name for ourselves. And so I actually get to play against my former teammate twice a year now, who's over at Green Bay. And or Voldemort, a team that shall remain nameless. And then I actually have another teammate that was here, but now he's at Detroit, so I get to see two Vandy guys twice a year.
And is it that camaraderie with Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
That's where I'm from, so.
Most definitely, because I have other teammates like Daniil Hunter and Tashawn Bauer. They go to LSU. Every week they're coming on a bus with a new jersey from a guy that went to LSU. But when I get to see a Vandy guy, I get to pull out all the stops. It's like, oh, it's great. I get to see him. And he's just like, what do you mean? It's like, I get to see a former teammate. I was like, I just saw 2 of them over here. I just saw 3 of them over there.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, don't rub it in.
Yeah. Now, do you still stay active with Vanderbilt, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. As much as possible, talking to the young guys, making sure their heads are on straight, trying to give them as much knowledge, nuggets, whatever they ask for, even if it's non-football related, just letting them know what it's like, especially for incoming first years. The student-athlete life at a high academic institution like Vanderbilt, it will be stressful. Try to let them know that you'll have some ups and downs, but it's important to keep your head on straight and find some good de-stressors at a young age, and it'll work out for you really well, especially when you leave a place like Vanderbilt. You pretty much have your next steps kind of written for you.
Right, and it could be helpful, too, even for high school football teams, too, to know the balance of education and athletics, right? Because it's important. Both are very important.
Yeah,
education especially.
You can't have one without the other, especially coming from high school to college and then from college to the professionals, right? Everyone has that dream of playing in front of millions or 70,000 like at a U.S. Bank Stadium, but you won't get there if you don't have the grades. No college can accept you, and then you can't stay in college enough to show what you have unless you maintain the grades as well. So that's something that a lot of kids, if they can grasp it earlier, do what you have to do when you're young so you can do what you want to do later. And it's not a decade or 2 decades. And 10 years ago, I was 15. I was in high school, right? And now I'm at a position where I get paid to do what I love. And it's only because I did what I had to do when I was younger, which is make good grades.
Talking with Vikings defensive lineman Stephen Weatherly. And Stephen, you were drafted, 7th round draft pick. And so the draft is coming up. Do you talk to any of the college players that are maybe going into the draft and kind of give them your advice, how to approach the draft as a player aspect?
Yeah, so I talked to all the Vandy guys that are draft eligible just about what the process is like and what to expect, because I didn't know what to expect just with private workouts. I went to the combine as well, so how the combine works, how private workouts work, how top 30 visits work, so on and so forth, how about staying in shape. And then I actually talked to gave a speech for the Vikings top 30 visit. And that was just about my journey and the process and what it was like afterwards, coming in as a draft pick and then getting cut my first year and then being placed on the practice squad and then working my way back onto the 53 and then finding a place on special teams and then working hard enough at defensive end and earning the trust of the coaches to get out there and mix it up with guys like LJ and B-Rob and Griff and D, so on and so forth. And then being able to start 5 games last year was crazy, right? Yeah. 7th round draft pick to start and having my name called, mom's crying in the stands because her baby born and stuff like that. So just gave those guys a little taste of that at the top 30. And then I still got hopefully a lot more to keep talking about and make history.
Does that, being cut and going to the special teams, does that give you extra fuel, extra fire to say, hey, I'm going to start 16 games next year?
More than anything, this makes me very appreciative of everything up to this point, right? At any point, honestly, I never want to have that feeling again, having to be called into a GM's office and being told that you're not good enough to make it. So that is more than anything the fuel I have to not have to go through that experience again. And at this point, for me personally, it's all about playing and providing for my loved ones, my mom and grandmother more than anything, taking care of them back in Atlanta. So every time I step on that field, I always write their names in the back end zone. That's what I do when I take a knee after I come out and I say the Lord's Prayer. I write their names and I say a quick prayer for them. It's like I'm doing this for them, and I go out there and I do what I love, and it all works out. Play with a big smile on my face and play loose and play relaxed.
We go down to Vikings training camp, and it's always fun. My favorite place to go is the defensive line practice, the individual practice, when it's just you guys.
Yeah.
And Brian Robinson, Everson Griffin, you guys are always mixing it up. You guys are always talking to one another, And it's kind of that camaraderie, too, with, college, Vanderbilt, but also the defensive line. Well, you guys are tight.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And so, again, with the Minnesota Vikings, one of the things that I'm super fortunate is that even though we're all there to compete, especially with the defensive end group, there's only 2 that can be on the field at one time. We're all competing to be one of those 2. We are all helping each other to get better. Because at the end of the day, if we can help each other get better, the whole group gets better. The whole defensive front gets better. The whole defense gets better. The Minnesota Vikings get better. And if you keep working hard and you're competing with one another, if you happen to not make it, it's not a personal thing. It's just you need to get better, so that motivates you to get better. And so that's the type of camaraderie we have. No one leaves anyone out to dry. It would have been super simple for guys when I first got in to be like, oh, he's a 7th rounder, sink or swim. He'll figure it out. If he doesn't, he's going home, and we don't have time to go back. But a guy like B-Rob took me in as soon as I got in and was just like, hey, I know you have some struggles coming over playing linebacker. Now you're playing defensive end. Stick with me. I'll show you how it goes. And so that helped me on a fast track to learning Coach Dre's system and then implementing it in Coach Zim's defense.
Yeah. And what's it like to have Mike Zimmer and as a head coach, right? I mean, he's demanding of you, right?
Yeah, and like Zim is the coach that I personally love in the sense that he doesn't paint everything as a rainbow. Everything's not sunshines and rainbows, but everything isn't gloom and doom, right? Everything just wasn't good enough. He's right in the middle. He says, I need ABC from you guys. We give him ABC, he says, good job. We give him XYZ, he tells us that was not a good job in a very Zim-like manner. And so he expects what he asked for. And he never asks for anything we can't give him. So when we give it to him, we excel. We win on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. We have great seasons. When we don't and we miss on a couple of points, the first thing he's going to say when we come in on that Monday to break down films, like, these are the areas that we hit. These are the ones we miss. This is the reason why we missed it. Next week, we hit all of them.
Always disappointed to miss the playoffs, right? You guys feel more pressure now this year to make it back to the playoffs just because you might be fighting for your coach or your management. I mean, obviously you want to make it to the playoffs, but you guys feel even more pressure now, like this is your window, this is your time?
I wouldn't say we have more pressure for that reason. It's just that we know we have so many good pieces, and more than anything, our losses that we took were because of us, right? We weren't missing anything crucial. So we know we have the fundamental pieces to win. We were just beating ourselves whenever we did lose or tied, right? And so that fact that we know we're so close, we just need to take care of our own internal parts a little bit better and how we get prepared week in and week out. And then, boom, we're back to 13 and whatever. We're back in NFC Championship game. We're at that position to battle for a Super Bowl to finally bring one home, right? And so that, more than anything, is motivating us because we know we got it. It's here. It's in the locker room. We're going to add a couple more pieces from the draft. Those young guys are going to come in here, help build on the field, help with the locker room. At the end of the day, the core pieces are here. And that's more than anything that's driving us, that, like, we know we got it.
Talking with Stephen Weatherly, Vikings defensive lineman, and Vikings Town Takeover. We're here in Waubun. And is this your first time coming maybe north of the city's area, or are you? No,
I actually went to Silver Bay for a hiking trip.
Okay.
And so that is, I don't know if that's as far north as here.
Might be a little further north.
Okay, yeah. So then I went all the way out there for a hiking trip with my 2 dogs, and they loved it, and a friend of mine. But no, so I have explored a little bit outside of the city limits.
Why do you think it's important for the Vikings to come out and talk to communities like Waubun?
No, because first off, we're not the Minneapolis Vikings, right? We're the Minnesota Vikings. So if anything, it's important to touch every area of the city because they'll come and support us, or if they can't come all the way to the city, they're supporting us at home, right, in their community. So the least we can do is come back and show some love and show some support, especially for a team like this that we're watching it now went undefeated and won, right, a state championship. Myself, the most wins I ever had in one season was 7 out of 10, and we had rings made because it was school history, right? And I get to be in a room with a bunch of champions and just talk them up a little bit, talk about life, see whatever they want to, anywhere I can help and stuff like that. And then more importantly, I get to interact with fans and supporters, true supporters, people that have been Vikings fans since before they even knew anything about it because their parents were and their grandparents were. So it's always cool to see that interconnection.
Appreciate the time as always, and we'll let you get back to talking with members of the community here.
Cool. No, thank you for having me.
Stephen Weatherly joining us here on KDLM Vikings Community Takeover. We're here in Waubun at Bears Sports Bar and Grill. More of our coverage here from Waubun coming up right after this.
Now back to the KDLM Sports Wrap, live from Bears Sports Bar in Waubun for the Minnesota Vikings Town Takeover.
All right, welcome back. Charlie Dolan broadcasting to you along with Zeke and Elliot as we continue our coverage here from Bears Sports. We have silent auction going on. We got the breakfast. We have Vikings players showing up. Just talked to Vikings defensive lineman Stephen Weatherly. And now we're talking to the head coach of the Mahnomen-Waubun Thunderbirds football team. We have Coach John Clark joining us. Good morning, Coach Clark.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and doing this on such a fine Friday morning.
Oh, it's beautiful out there, isn't it? This is what we wanted, right?
You can see part of the road sometimes on the way down here.
It's football weather, right?
Yeah, it actually is. These boys out here, sitting out here would play, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. This whole thing is just great, and talk about what this means for the community here.
It's just quite an honor, number one, just to be recognized as the community of the year, you know. I'm sure there's a lot of communities very deserving, but if you ask anybody here, they'll believe that we are deserving of it. And you know, a lot of credit goes to the kids, but also the entire community, because they've really rallied around this. When we were nominated, it was something else to see the two communities bond together and just make sure that we won this thing, because it was a lot of social media. It was social media driven, and a lot of that was a big part of who was honored, and just work back and forth with parents and community members was something else. And I truly believe it helped bring our football team together, and it helped our football success, just the rallying of the community. The last night we had a home game in Waubun. It was week 8, our last home game, and the Vikings people were coming to do their site visit to help determine who was going to win. And it was like a college atmosphere. The tailgating before the game was just unbelievable. The turnout for the game was unbelievable, and even the roar when they announced that we had won it that night was something else, and that's very neat. I'm glad. I'm obviously glad we won, and it's just very, I think, generous of the Vikings people for doing what they're doing. They're giving us a $10,000 check that goes directly to football equipment. And then with the silent auction items and some of the things they brought, we're going to make a lot more money. Just that's going to our football programs. So our kids will definitely benefit.
What's so interesting is high school football is so unique. It's on a Friday night. The whole town. It's one of the few events where everybody still comes together to watch high school football, right? It's so unique.
Exactly, and that's what, during football season, that's what they talk about all week. You can't wait for Friday night. And it's a special, and our little magical run we had last year, coming together his first year as a co-op and actually winning the state championship. It's just set the tone, and I hope people don't forget how fun that was, because it's the excitement of the playoffs and the state championship and winning this award, that's going to wear off eventually, and it's going to be back to week 1 on a hot August night, and I hope that people remember how fun it was, and I'm sure they will, but I'm sure there'll be some drop off, but it is an experience, and it's fun to get out and support each other and to support the kids.
Is it fair to say, too, now with these two towns together co-oping, has the state championship, Vikings Town Takeover, has it galvanized these two towns even more?
Oh, absolutely. And to this day, I'm everywhere I go, people want to talk about the state championship game still, and what a fun game that was, and what a fun experience it was going down there. And we had one of the neatest welcome homes that I've ever seen. When we pulled in, we got back to Waubun and fireworks went off, and they had the score on the scoreboard, and the lights were on in the football field, and the caravan, and then we had a parade up in Mahnomen down Main Street where the kids got on a flatbed of a semi-truck, and "We Are the Champions" was blaring off that, and they come down Main Street, and people were just lined up, and it was cold, and they were cheering them on, and the gym was packed for the welcome home, and that the game was great, but I'll remember that. That was one of the coolest things I've seen as a coach, and I know a lot of our kids say that, and it's just, like you said, the communities have rallied behind it 100%, and I just think it's something that's really going to take off.
You ask any championship team, you have adversity, right? And whether it's in the game, going to practice, whatever it is. And what was one thing that you guys had to overcome last year, maybe even during the game, where you guys had to overcome it and you pulled through? What was that?
For us, we had a pretty smooth season, to be honest with you, on the field. I mean, our kids, the hardest part for us was going to be to determine which positions these kids to come together, because, you know, obviously you can only have one quarterback. You can only have one guy carrying the ball. So we had to kids had to sacrifice position. I think that's probably was the biggest obstacle, but they did that seamlessly. I mean, it's just a credit to them how well they came together and how they sacrificed. And it wasn't hard. The coaches didn't have to do a lot with that. The kids figured that out for themselves early on in the season. And we changed some positions as the season went on, and they accepted that. And I mean, that was the biggest thing. You know, in the state championship game, we had a couple fumbles early in the game, and our kids didn't hang their head one bit. You could just see them rally around each other. And the old cliche, they picked each other up, and that's exactly what happened. And never be so proud of a team as for hanging in there, because the team that we beat in the state championship bowl was unbelievable. People do not realize how good they were. We played about as well as we could play in a football game, and we barely snuck that thing out. So again, that's a credit to the kids for playing their best at the biggest time, but it certainly wasn't easy.
Yeah, and such a big group of seniors too last year for the championship.
Right, and you know, that's amazing for us. We're not going to see that, and people look and say, oh, they got 16 seniors. Well, that's an aberration. I mean, the year before we had graduated 3 and Waban had graduated 3, so that's more realistic for us, and that's just a special class that comes through. And you know, I think we did it right by co-oping. You know, a lot of schools wait until they hit bare bottom, you know, and then they decide to co-op, and I'm really happy that we were proactive and, you know, decided we're not going to hit bottom. Let's do this and get ahead of the game, so, you know, we don't have to rebuild from scratch. And this senior group was ideal, because not only are they great athletes, it's the selfless attitude that they had coming for the team was something special.
Yeah. Well, this is a special event here, and I know there's other activities tomorrow as well, correct?
Right, yeah. So, you know, today is breakfast, and we have the state championship game being replayed. There's Viking players here. Tonight there's a big deal for the adult portion of the community where, again, the silent auction will go on. We'll have drawings. The Viking players will be here still for a meet and greet. And then tomorrow morning's more for the kids and the family. We'll have a youth football camp that the Viking players are putting on. And then they set up their inflatable games, and they have some video game Madden, whatever that is. Game councils going on, and they got their tailgating games that they have. So it'll just be a real neat experience for the younger crowd tomorrow morning.
Awesome. This is such a cool event. We appreciate your time, and great job setting this up.
No problem. Thank you for coming and taking part and giving us some publicity. These kids deserve it.
Coach John Clark joining us here, head coach of the Mahnomen Waban Thunderbirds. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of the Sports Wrap right after this.